Now we're on the clock with a minute to explore a handful of notable headlines from the week. What a week it was, my gosh. New Mexico has found the man to lead the newly minted insurance department that lawmakers and voters carved out from under the PRC. You remember that? The new boss, same as the old boss, John Franchini. Mylan, this one got under your skin a little bit in your weekly column. His wife had to resign her position to accommodate this. Tell us about what your thoughts here in 15, 20 seconds, if you could.
Well, when he was interviewed, the committee did not even ask him about his wife's employment. And I asked one of the committee members, the one I respect a great deal, Jason Marks, how come that didn't come up? And he said it was an oversight. And then they finally got on it. But in a 50-minute interview, they never even brought it up with him.
How interesting. Your sense of this one, is this a safe play for everybody?
Well, I mean, certainly the lead up to it, as Mylan reported, was pretty frustrating. The fact that when first asked about it, he says, no, there's no connection. And because he defines financial interest as ownership. His wife worked in the industry, she didn't own it. I find that to be a little bit of a questionable dodge.
Right, cutting a fine hair there for folks, but she did leave her gig, so.
Well, she did, but I think the question is that it should have been, an issue earlier on, and not something that they made a decision and then, had this requirement that she resign. I mean, there is a financial interest there. I agree with what Jim says.
Yeah, Mr. Franchini better give his wife a really nice anniversary.
There you go. I'm going to let that be the last word on that. New subject, the American Medical Association has labeled obesity as a disease. That means it affects 1/3 of Americans. That's the threshold. Many people say that it only increases the stigma of obesity, while others say it opens the door for more effective treatment. Jim, let me go back to you. Did the AMA do the right thing here by just at least starting the conversation?
What they point out, the AMA notes that by designating it as a disease, you open it up to additional resources for treatment.
Yep.
In that regard, anything that can help people beyond this stereotype of exercise and eat differently could be valuable.
Sure. Would you agree with that, Mylan? I mean, it's a tough thing. Obese is a tough word to lay on somebody in this culture.
It is. I know some people maintain alcoholism is a disease. We have that same sort of debate. I guess for all the criticisms of our schools, that's another one that we're not doing enough in that regard to teach lifetime activity, lifetime fitness, things you can do your entire life.
Exactly. Pardon me, please, nutrition, your new gig, Green Chamber of Commerce, not just about business, but how to get people more healthy as well.
Issues. So I'm mixed on this one because on the one hand, there's a lot of programs out there that are medically supervised that include, a medical component that basic plans won't cover because it is weight loss and not. So maybe that could change. On the other hand, I do understand the stigmatizing side of it, and it makes me think so what, am I calling in fat now to work? So,
it's a disease.
I'm sick, I'm calling in fat today. It doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work for the boss.
That's right. We're going to hold you there, Rob, out of time on that one. The press junket for The Lone Ranger took place last week in Santa Fe with Tonto, portrayed by Johnny Depp, as you know, taking a more central role in the film. Albuquerque-based Native America Calling was dismayed to find themselves on the back burner and uncredentialed by Disney press people. Laura, let's stay with you. I don't know about this one. This bothers me, but they just wanted to go and ask some questions and be part of the press corps. Didn't happen. Is this a black eye on the whole thing itself, the whole movie, or is it just something
It
behind
was certainly a mismanagement. And part of the problem is that you have Disney studios, you have Hollywood studios that work with local folks but don't give them the whole picture and get their input. If they did, they would have easily been told, you need to include these groups. So I think it was an oversight. But they've also gone beyond that. I mean, I was privileged enough to see this earlier this week, and there was an advanced screening for about 1,100 people throughout New Mexico, many of them cast and crew folks, but also a lot of legislators. And the governor's chief of staff was there, the speaker, a lot of people who showed up to watch this. And that was a very interesting approach to try to open it up to get more people to see the movie for free.
Interesting. What do you think? It's a press junket, not that big of a deal, but it is a big deal when you talk about this.
Maybe it was something just as benign as, there's something like 300 people came to this press junket, and there's such a celebrity culture, celebrity media. Maybe since they weren't from Associated Press, maybe they got pushed aside there. But maybe it's something like that. But you would think that from a marketing standpoint, from a political standpoint, you want to get the Native Americans on board.
That's the bottom line right there. We didn't get an invite either, so just how it goes. Now, immigration is the talk of the town in Washington, D.C. and everywhere else as an amendment that could mean a surge of jobs at the border. Rob, and then Mylan, I want to ask you the same thing too. You can hear this going back to John Sanchez talk about the upcoming drone economy. People talking about 30, 40,000 more people on our border. That means it's a jobs program in some sort. Is this sort of making a grotesque twist on what immigration should be about, or is this in fact a reality?
This is a political deal.
Okay.
There's a lot of Republicans, well, not a lot, but there are a number of Republicans, conservative Republicans, who don't like this immigration bill.
Right.
And because they think that we're not turning the spigot off. And so what this is there are a number of Republicans who want this immigration bill to pass, and so they're trying to enforce or try to boost the enforcement aspect of this.
Mylan, your thoughts on this one?
I wrote a column last week. The new mayor of El Paso was born in Chihuahua City, Oscar Leeser, and I think that shows the fluidity of the border, the movement that occurs, and people who want to militarize it. It's 2,000 miles long. It's almost politically impossible to do that.
And we've got less crossings going on, James.
Well, I mean, some people have pointed to economic reasons for that. But it's worth noting, I think, we talk about how in some ways this is a conservative push, that this is a necessary piece before we can begin to move forward on immigration reform. Another component that's factored in here that is, it builds more fence.
Sure.
It's something that's been highly controversial, and it just...
Sure. Oh, the money involved is going to be very interesting. Now, let's talk about the Medicaid surge. As Molina and Blue Cross plan to hire hundreds as they prepare for Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act, same thoughts about this as the border surge, Laura. I mean, it's an interesting idea of this. ACA is being seen by lots of other states as a jobs program. But we haven't quite gotten there in New Mexico, but the numbers don't lie. I can't think of anybody else that's hiring in lots of 400 these days in New Mexico. So
Right.
this is interesting.
In the hundreds. I mean, it's
Right.
huge. And for an economy like New Mexico, and especially smaller towns, it's huge. And, similar connection to the border issue, these are federal employers, essentially. So when you redouble the number of border patrols, it has an effect in places like Artesia, where they have FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. I mean, there is an effect on the economy there just because there are so many more people showing up. Same thing here. I mean, we have waves of economic impact because of so many more hires, and this is a benefit coming from this change in the federal law.
Exactly right. Something, an ember to blow on here, something that could be good for us?
I think that the Affordable Care Act, ACA, Obamacare, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be a very, very big story. If people, rank and file people, not Democrats, Republicans, just average people, if they are able to keep their health insurance, if they like it, then and not have to pay a whole lot more, then it'll be a net plus. But if they don't, it'll be a net loss for the president and for the Democrats.
There's been some sticker shock across the country.
Yes.
Different places. We'll see what happens. Guys, thank you. Great Friday night conversation. Mylan, thanks for coming down. James, good to see you. And Rob, always. And Laura, always. As always, all of us here at New Mexico in Focus appreciate your time and your effort to stay informed and engaged. Now, catch up with us anytime on social media by searching New Mexico in Focus. And you can find archived interviews and often bonus material from our shows on our YouTube channel. I'm Gene Grant. We'll see you next week in Focus.